Behind the Brand episode.
Is this camera on me?
I hope so.
So welcome back to the Half a Day Show. I'm your host, Jay Halfaday, the flyest man on the internet. And today we'll be doing another episode of Behind the Brand. Joining me is a media mogul, journalist, writer, producer, and host of her own talk show, Summertime. Please welcome Summer Hill. But yeah, welcome to the show. So excited for you to be joining us today. How you feel?
I feel good.
I feel that. So today we got an exciting episode planned before us. I got some questions laid out. We're going to put a spotlight on you and your journey and get behind the brand. Okay. So you ready to get to it? I like to offer my guests the opportunity to present their story and give us a little bit of that background, because it's one thing to be interpreted and another thing to present yourself like your own story. So if you could just give us a background, a little bit about what you do and how you got here.
Yeah, so hey everyone, I'm Summer. I currently host my own show called It's Summertime, and during my show, it's an interview series, so I like to talk to people, unpack their stories. I really like to call it a safe space because I like to give people that opportunity to really share who they are, how they've gotten where they are, and some important messages that have come along the way. And I got here because I've always been in media, graduated from Howard University in 2019 with a degree in media journalism and film. And since then, I've worked in the entertainment industry, BET, NBC, Fox, CBS, and I'm currently at NPR. Done it all. I'm just getting started, though. So
just getting started.
Yeah.
I like to hear that, though. So we're going to get into these questions. You ready?
Yeah.
So first question. I think you said St. Louis is home, but you moved around quite a bit. How has jumping around, moving from city to city, impacted and affected your worldview?
Yeah, I think it's just really made me adaptable because I went from St. Louis to Toronto, which are two completely different worlds, right? And so when I got to Toronto, my parents put me in an all-girls Catholic private school. And so that just rocked my whole world. Obviously, everything I knew was different. So then from there, I went to Detroit, which is extremely different from Toronto. See, exactly, hot to cold. So it's made me really adaptable. And it also kind of rocks my shape of, like, what's home. Like, I consider St. Louis home because I'm from there, but, like, I really don't feel at home there. So,
where you spent the most time?
St. Louis.
St. Louis. And then here will be second then? How long you been out here?
Here will be second, but I've bounced around since I've been here. So, I moved here in 2015. And then after I graduated in 2019, I went to New York, Miami, and then Charlotte, and then back here. Yes.
On purpose or circumstance?
Well, I was ready to go, but I got a job outside of here.
That's dope. So would you say that moving around a lot has been more harmful or helpful in your journey?
Definitely helpful. Definitely. I don't think my journey has been harmful at all.
Why so?
Because I don't look at any of it as harmful. I think all of it, even if it was a lesson that hurt, like, at least I still learned and grew from it.
Mm-hmm. I'm still trying to figure out where your accent from. It don't sound like St. Louis all the way.
What does it like?
I don't know. It's like a mix of everywhere you've been for the most part.
That would make sense.
You didn't get the, like, Caribbean flow from, like, Toronto now?
No. When I was in Toronto, I didn't really get it. Like, I was like, why are y'all talking like
Nah, they talk crazy up
They
there.
do, but until, so, like, I lived there for a while, and then I left, and then, like, Drake came out, and, like, everyone was like, well, he's culture vulture. I was like, no, that's really how they talk in Toronto. Yeah, no, I didn't get none of that.
St. Louis stuff. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So shoot, we're going to segue into the next question then. I think one of the best things that you describe yourself as is a storyteller. Mm-hmm. What do you think is more important? The development of a story, like research and reading and learning about things, or the delivery, like how you say something? The delivery? Why?
Yeah, because, like, that's what people really, like, tune into. Like, that's what really captures people and gets people's attention. Like, the research is important, of course, but there's nothing like telling a good story and being able to connect with people who are able to get a message out of that story.
So what is your favorite part of storytelling then? Like, what aspect? And I know you said that, you know, your favorite topic is to talk about you, but, like, what's your favorite story you've told also in that light?
Okay, my favorite part of storytelling is the part where you're telling your own story, right? And then someone was like, oh my gosh, I feel like you're speaking to me. So it just resonates. So, like, that resonating part. And then my favorite story I've told, I have a really, really beautiful story about my mom.
Can we hear it?
So dearly. Yeah. So, okay. So I studied abroad in Spain.
All right. What part?
Barcelona.
All right.
So, the night before I left, I was leaving from Chicago. I was living in Detroit at the time, but just flew out of Chicago. So the night before I left, they dropped me off in Chicago. I was so excited, like getting pumped, getting ready. I'm like, let's go, let's do this. And as I was excited and dancing around the hotel room, like ready to go, I instantly it hit me like, where's your passport? Where is your passport? So I'm like flipping through all my stuff, like, where is it? Where is it? Keep in mind, my parents dropped me off in Chicago and drove back to Detroit.
Damn.
So I'm like panicking, like, and my flight's the next morning. So I'm panicking. I'm like, oh Lord, what am I going to do? Where's this passport? I knew I didn't have it. I just knew it. I was like, maybe somebody put it in there. Like, I'm trying to figure it out. So reluctantly, I called my parents. I'm like, yeah, my passport.
Did they drive back?
My mom got my passport, flew to Chicago the next morning, met me before my flight, and I was good to go.
She gave you an earful?
No, she didn't. She didn't.
I like that.
I was really, really glad to see her again before I left, too.
So how long were you in Spain?
4 months.
4 months. Do you speak Spanish?
I do.
You do? I don't.
Yeah, I need to keep using it because it's not as good as it was when I was there, but yes.
What was your favorite part about your time in Spain?
Oh, my gosh. Spain was beautiful.
I heard. I haven't been over there.
Did not like the food.
No?
But I lived with a host family who spoke only Spanish, so I really liked that. And then I was able to, like, bounce around Europe a lot. So I think I traveled to, like, 11 countries when I was out there. And that was beautiful.
I see. Well, you did speak about your family pretty highly. What role have they had in, like, supporting your dreams and aspirations?
Yeah, I always say, like, the way that my family has shown me love is through freedom. So they've always given me, like, the choice. Like, what do you want to do? Okay, what do you want to do with that? So, like, the fact that I was able to, study journalism at school, a lot of people was like, no, you need to be a doctor. But my family was like, no, what do you want to do? And then once I decided what I wanted to do, they 10 toes behind me, supported that decision. And everything I do, they're very supportive. Like, when I launch every episode I drop, my parents are, like, sending it to all their friends. Yeah, like, it just feels good to know that they're proud of me and what I'm doing.
Absolutely. So outside of your family, who else is in your community?
Oh, I have really great friends. Like, my girlfriends are just, they're so supportive. They give me feedback. They show up for me, which I really appreciate. That's my love language, like, show up for me. So yeah, I have a really good group of people around me.
Now, I think broader though, community, what's the importance or the value of it as a content creator, in this digital space? How valuable is it?
Oh, it's extremely valuable. And honestly, a lot of my community as a content creator, they're not friends nor family. They're just people who follow me like you, like you're part of my community in this realm. And those are the people who like, hey, I noticed you haven't dropped an episode in a while. I'm like, okay, hold on, let me go record something, because it feels good to know that people are checking for you and supporting you and wanting to see what you're doing. And so that's motivating.
I love it. So then I guess I want to know, I'm curious. They probably curious too though. Have you always envisioned this for yourself? Like, was this your dream as a kid growing up? Like, summertime? Yeah. You always saw that from day one?
Always. I didn't know what it was going to be called, but like when I was younger and people used to ask me what I want to do, I would say, I want to have my own show.
I love it.
And so I made my own show.
You see, I had the same backstory, but this ain't about me. This is about you.
Yeah, that's cool though. I'm glad that you're doing it.
I think one important part of your journey, you talked about studying abroad in Spain from Howard. Mm-hmm. How did you get to Howard? Like, what was your decision making to choosing a college?
That was on accident.
Really?
But I'm so glad I did. So I went on a Black college tour when I was living in Detroit in high school. And so they took us to like all these Black colleges up and down the coast, the East Coast. I want to say Howard was our first stop. And when I got to Howard's campus, it was like raining. It was ugly out. I was like, oh no. But anyway, when I was there, they gave me a free application because, I'm a high school student visiting. So I was like, all right, I'll apply. I honestly didn't think I was going to get in because I did not do my best in high school. And I know Howard is very prestigious.
Right.
And a couple of weeks later, I got in, and I was like, well, that's it. Going to Howard.
And that was it? You ain't applied nowhere else?
I'd applied to 2 other schools, one other one on the Black College Tour, which is Tuskegee,
Right.
and then DePaul, which I have no idea why I was even considering that. But yeah, I got Howard, and I'm like, well, there we go.
Shoot. And now you had to make it.
Yeah.
All right. Shout out to the Bisons.
I'm so grateful for that decision. Like, Lil Sommer knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't at the time.
Little something else you got? Okay. All right. So I think one of the great things about Howard, though, is like the influence and development and great appreciation that they have for the arts. There's so many giants that came before you. Felicia Rashad, Taraji, Chadwick Boseman, so many people. Is it more intimidating or inspiring having to follow in those footsteps in the media industry?
I think it's extremely inspiring. Like, first of all, I didn't know a lot about Howard before I went there.
No.
So then once I was there, like, there's just this type of energy on campus that's like, I feel like I'm walking in the footsteps of greatness. Like, I can feel the energy of the people who were here before me, who really laid this foundation and made it such a prestigious school. So I was inspired every day by being able to go there and then being able to interact. Like, Chadwick Boseman came to commencement, and I was able to...
2019?
That was 2018.
18.
And I was able to watch that, and I was able to actually interview Felicia Rashad. And that was amazing. Like, wow, we have a connective tissue because of where we went to school that allowed us to have a really beautiful conversation.
How'd that come about?
Oh my gosh. So actually one of my colleagues reached out to me and was like, hey, somebody asked me to do this panel, but I'm not available. Can you do it? It's in Miami at Art Basel. I was like, sure, I'll do it.
Shoot.
And then once I agreed, then I started talking to the coordinators, and they were like, yeah, it's going to be Felicia Rashad. And I was like, oh, okay, hold on, let me get my bearings. And that made me want to do it even more, even though I was scared. And yeah, I flew down to Miami.
Was that nerve-wracking? Was that your first time meeting her?
You know what? It was my first time meeting her. The days leading up to it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so nervous. But the morning of the interview, I woke up at 6 a.m., like something woke me up, and I was like feeling anxious, and I just started praying and like asking for guidance from my ancestors, and like, whatever y'all need to do to calm me, please do. And I went back to sleep, and I woke up and I was cool as a cucumber.
Shoot. Yeah. So what do you think was the hardest part besides like settling your nerves? What was the hardest part going into that?
I just wanted to be well researched. And so it was both her, Felicia Rashad, and Amber Robles Gordon, who I interviewed. And I never really had to like do more than one person in an interview. And so I wanted to be well researched on both of them, not favor one over the other in the conversation. And so, and then the title I was confused about, it was called The Art of Influence. So I'm like, okay, how do I take that title, this research that I have from both of them, and craft a well-rounded conversation?
Y'all should check it out, though. The interview's on YouTube.
It is. Check it out.
But yeah, if I could, I'm going to back up just a little bit and go back to Howard. This is a brilliant Black woman. She graduated magna cum laude. She did, with a BA in journalism. Yes. You always knew journalism, I'm pretty sure, right? But how difficult was it to graduate with those high honors from Howard? Was it a cakewalk? Some people might consider like journalism like one of those degrees where it's like, it isn't that rigorous, like an engineering or, legal or medicine. Yeah. What do you say about that?
Well, okay, I will say this. The first 2 years of Howard University, freshman and sophomore, I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but I'll say it anyway. I kind of finessed through those years. Those are the years that you're taking, like the maths, the English, So a lot of those economics, a lot of those classes I kind of finessed, which I'm not proud to say. But then it hit me after I studied abroad. I was like, oh my gosh, I played myself, because now I couldn't really tell you much about economics. I can't really tell you much about statistics. So starting junior year, I buckled down and I got really serious about my schooling. And I took it, and then also classes started picking up, because that's when you really got into your major. And that is not a cakewalk. It was very difficult, because with journalism, first of all, there's a lot of foundations that you have to learn, like ethics, that are pretty difficult to understand. And then not only that, but you have to actually use them in the field. So I remember one day I had to go out and report on voting. I had to be up at 5 a.m. to get the first voters. So I did and I had to turn around and do that package that same day. and then turn around and produce the first newscast that we ever did. And I was the executive producer of that newscast. So I'm up on my feet from 5 a.m. to well past 8 p.m. Creating news and sharing it. And so it has to be factual. It has to be engaging. It has to be ethical. Right. So that's not easy.
Oh, no, it ain't.
But I am grateful for the teachers that I had that helped me along the way.
In the sports world, they have this term called new media, where like all these athletes are starting their own podcasts and stuff like that.
Like
what do you think about
Sharp and stuff?
Yeah, what do you think?
I mean, they're engaging. Like, they're good conversation, but we need to be able to discern like what's actual news, what's actually newsworthy versus what's just entertaining.
Just entertaining.
Yeah.
So how do you find that balance in your show?
Well, I'm a journalist,
Yeah.
so it should be both news and entertaining, and I think that depends on the topic, the subject matter, as well as the guest. So, like, my first guest was Phil Lewis, who is a journalist,
Right?
And he also shares a lot of news and a lot of information. We talked about how to discern what's real versus what's not, and how to like pick up a good source. Is this a reliable source? So I think just learning how to do that in this day and age is extremely important.
It's
a lot of people don't know how, or don't take the time to.
Don't take the time to, or don't even care to.
Don't care.
Because, so much of media now is just clickbait.
Exactly.
So then I'm curious, though. I think you said it. I'm trying to remember what you said. Like, I think that we're seeing sort of a dwindling down of the discipline of journalism. Everybody's freelance now. You mentioned community-based journalism. Is that what you said? How important is it to retain actual journalists in the field of media as everybody's transitioning to, new media? How important is it to have like actual journalists still doing this work?
Yeah, I mean, that's like asking how important is the truth. Like, if you want the truth and if the truth is important to you, then you will remain with journalists in this field because those are the truth tellers, or they should be if they're doing it ethically.
If they're doing it ethically, I'm glad you pointed that out, because like some of these media pundits who are journalists, classically trained, you can tell when they're pushing an agenda, though. What do you have to say about those type of journalists?
I just want to say that that's irresponsible. Like, our job as journalists is to share the news, is to share the facts. It's not to share a bias or an opinion. And I know that's difficult because we all have them, but we present the facts and then allow people to determine what their opinion on it is. We're not supposed to be presenting opinions. So that's one way to tell if a journalist is being a reliable source or not, is if you are getting facts or you are getting opinions. Look for the facts. And the way that you can find out is if it's a fact is to compare it to other sources.
That's valid.
Facts are consistent.
Exactly. So then, broader, what does journalism mean to you? Like, what does it mean to be a journalist? I think you asked this question to Phil. Or like, yes, what does the journalist of the future look like? I think that's what you said. Can I ask that to you?
Yeah. What does it mean to me, or a journalist of the future?
Let's go. What does it mean to you? And then what does the journalist of the future look like?
So to me, journalism means sharing the facts, keeping everyone informed. And then journalists of the future look like, again, people like me, like Phil said, who can share the facts and keep people informed, but do it and continue to do it in an ethical way. Like, make sure we don't lose that sense of ethics within our journalism.
I like that. So this is a bit of a stretch of a question. Okay. Have you also seen that like physical media is also starting to like disappear? Yeah, like when it comes to magazines,
newspapers.
Yeah,
it's disappearing.
How do you feel about that?
It's sad because Black culture especially, we have used physical media as an archive. And so it's like, now that that's being taken away, what do we have that stands in real time, that shows where we are going, where we came from? Like, we can look at this as an example, like the Super Bowl, right?
Right.
Alicia Keys missed that first note. I love Alicia Keys. I love her down. Okay, you're an artist, and you're going to, okay, whatever, it's fine. She missed the first note, but if you go back and look on the Super Bowl website, they changed it, right? So what do we have that shows in real time what's factual and what really happened? So it's sad to me, and it's an archive, and we need those archives as we continue to grow into such a technology age.
So then, as you're growing your platform in this digital age, how are you working to retain, physical media? Like, do you have hard physical copies of your episodes somewhere or somehow? Would you do like a magazine sometime?
I think that'd be really cute. I mean, right now, just in the early stages of this business, like the most important thing to me is sustainability. And in order to be sustainable, I have to have the funding. So right now I'm just trying to do what makes sense financially. And unfortunately, a magazine doesn't make sense financially right now. But in the future, I think that'd be a grand idea. I'd love to capture my things physically.
I think that'd be dope.
Yeah, I do too. But what I do is that my interviews, I like to serve them as an archive. Like the people that I talk to, I think are modern day legends. And so it is cool to have interviews with these people who will one day become even bigger than they are now. And I can say, look, here's an archive of this conversation.
Absolutely. Great minds think alike. That's why you're here.
Yes. Thank you.
So I'm glad you segued into it. It's almost like you're leading the conversation. It's your show now. But whatchamacallit? Summertime. You're a talk show. What does your platform stand for? I know you said that you like to tell the truth, you like to deliver facts in an engaging conversation, and you like to interview modern day legends. What do you want people to walk away from, like when they watch an episode of Summertime?
I wanted to create dialogue within people. So I like to talk about things that, one, I'm curious about, and two, that are kind of impacting pop culture and our culture, period, in order for us to grow as a culture and as a community. So like mental health, that's not talked about enough. I talk to a lot of Black men, which I really appreciate because I find that there's a disconnect in our day and age between men and women. I talk to a lot of artists because I like to understand the creative process. So yeah, I want somebody to watch it and then go to their friend and be like, hey, I just watched something that made me think of this, and then start a conversation on it.
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite thing that you like to talk about? I know you said mental health, very important subject. And then, the gender disconnect. Anything else?
Yeah. So like, okay, have you ever seen the movie Soul?
Which Soul?
Soul. It's the animation on Disney.
With the little
Jamie Foxx is
Jamie Foxx with the emotions and stuff.
Yeah. They're like little spirits. They're spirits.
Is that the one where you play the instrument?
Yes.
And you turn it? Yeah, I seen that.
Okay, yeah. So you know how like he talks about being in the zone, like when somebody's playing and then like you could just tell they really feel it. Mm-hmm. I love talking about people about that zone, or like how they got there, what it feels like to be in there, like and what kind of things they create once they're in there. Yeah.
Do you have a zone like that?
I do. I think we're in it right now.
Yeah. Conversation is flowing, the ideas are generating inspiration, I think. That is a powerful topic.
It really is. I like to talk about powerful things, and then I also like to talk about healing. Like, let's unpack that. Let's heal from this. Like, I like people to feel safe when they're with me, and then they just start telling me things, and then I'm like, wow, let's talk through that.
That's a different one. I like that. I'm gonna come back to it though. I'm curious. He said healing. You said like being in the zone. I want to know more about like what your zone looks like when you're in that creative zone. What inspires you? What influences like some of the choices you make in production and like development of content stories? Like, what does your zone look like? That's the question.
Yeah, so I get into this really like laser focused mode where like I put on my boss cap and people call me really bossy. I don't mind. I can be bossy because it's my show and it's my production. So
that's a sign.
I'm a Gemini.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's just what it's gonna be. Like the other day I had a production and I was doing an interview and this guy kept on talking in the background. I was like, oh, sorry, hold on, you all. Like, I really need you to stop speaking. Like, but that was just me because I'm in my zone. Like, please don't interrupt me. Please don't disrespect my production by, talking in the background. So, I get my production experience from all the different productions I've worked on throughout my career. So I know what it's supposed to look like, what it's supposed to sound like. And then I have a very high standard of like what the content that I put out is supposed to look like. So I'm thinking about all of this, meanwhile thinking about having a fluid conversation. How can I make this conversation exciting, inviting, safe, engaging?
All important things. When I'm in my zone, honestly, like I need music. Like music really does inspire me a lot creatively. Like I like to listen to jazz.
Oh, okay.
It helps. That's really my personality. Like jazz, like everything I like to pull from multiple different places for ideas and stuff like that. So when I'm thinking or like when I'm developing an idea or writing down questions, I like to put some music on and it helps me like, oh, how can I connect this, like the fluid conversation? Like it looks a little weird because I got to reference it every once in a while. I wish I had like some cards, but that's what my zone looks like.
Cool. Yeah, I really like jazz. I sometimes will do it in complete silence. Like I'm the type, like if I'm driving, sometimes I'll drive in complete silence and really just lock in and decide like, how do I want this to look, or meditate on it, get into like that.
That's another good question. I'm glad you just brought that up. The meditation though. You're into yoga, I think. Yes. How'd you come into that journey? Like
my mom put me in yoga when I was like 12 years old. And I've always just really liked the like I didn't really understand it as like intellectually. I got it physically. I'm like, okay, this feels calming. But like intellectually, now that I'm in yoga teacher training and I'm learning to be a yoga instructor.
Oh yeah.
Wow, there's so much to it that I had no idea that is so beautiful and that is
like
really like full circle. Like well, right now we're learning about chakras and how each chakra correlates with each movement and how like each movement is fluid, right? And your chakras are too. So like, let's say my sacral chakra is blocked, so that's going to block all the rest of them. So it's just like the fluidity of yoga and the fluidity of how the energy runs through your body. Like it's just really a beautiful thing to learn about.
Absolutely. So then on a personal note, what's one thing that people get confused about you or mistake you for?
I think people think I'm stuck up.
Really?
Yeah, people assume that I'm stuck up.
Why?
I guess because of how I look. Like, I don't know. Like people just always say like, I thought you were gonna be stuck up. Wow, you're so down to earth. And I think people don't realize how intelligent I am. Like I hate to sound arrogant, but like a lot of people assume that I've got to where I've gotten with my accolades because of how I look. Like, oh, they just gave it to her because she's pretty. Like, no, I've actually had to work very, very hard to get where I'm at.
And I can hear it. No, like I listen to your episodes, like the way you carry yourself. You're definitely very intelligent.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not patting you on your back because you sit in front of me. Like, I'm going to just tell it how it is.
Thank you.
Well, yeah. And what do you think? What's something that you wish people knew more about you then? She's not stuck up, y'all.
I don't care if they think that. Like, you could think that.
Gemini.
I know. I wish people knew that I am pretty sensitive. Like, not the type to, like, you say something, I'm gonna start crying, but, like, I'm very sensitive to, like, people's emotions, like, how people feel. Like, if I come around somebody and they're anxious, like, I'm gonna take that anxiety.
You feel it as well? Or you try to, like, counterbalance it?
Well, I feel it as well, and if I am feeling compassionate, I try to counterbalance it. But it's if I have the emotional capacity, and that's the other thing. Like, I have emotional capacity, and I have a social battery, and sometimes it's low. Yeah. And I need grace when it is, because I can't always be around, and I can't always, heal the group right now because I'm feeling low myself.
How has it been owning a media production company? What are some of the challenges that you've experienced with being a business owner now?
Yeah. It is a new challenge every single day. As soon as you get over one, like work through it, you have another one waiting on you. So it's constant problem solving, but I enjoy it because it's for myself and it's for like the benefit of my own company. So I don't mind. But it's been such a joy to have my own production company. Like what? Who just opens their own production company? But I had to because I needed a business that my show fell under, and then I also offer other services under the production company, and then ideally it'll expand and I'll have other shows and other people within this company.
Absolutely, it will. It's going to scale. It's infrastructure too. That's the way I like to look at it. Because like, I think I asked this question on another episode, the importance of Black media. So, having a Black production company, I think it's powerful. What role are you trying to fill, in the media space? What is missing that you're trying to step up and take over?
Yeah, I think it's just that there are so many talented creatives without the resources, and just without the general knowledge of how to get started and what to do, and best practices. And so I want to be able to be that resource for them, kind of like Issa Rae,
Yeah,
Ava DuVernay. Like, there's so many women that I can look up to and say that, even if I don't know them personally, have been a resource for me in like laying a foundation and how this process works. And so I want to be able to do that for other people as well.
And you're doing the damn thing. Mm-hmm. So then I want to know, I'm curious, like at scale, what does Summertime Productions look like in 5 years, 10 years? What do you want to see it? What do you want it to be?
So I want it to be a household name. Like, people are like, oh, that I could tell that was Summertime Productions. Like, how when you're watching the Spike Lee joint, like I could tell that's Spike Lee. Like, I want it to be like that, where people can tell it's Summertime Productions just because of the quality of the content and just because of the topic matter, the subject matter. If it's deep, if it's healing, if it moves you, then it's Summertime Productions. I also want to be a place where a lot of like HBCU students come and get their opportunities. So people are like, your little cousin is about to graduate from Howard. And you better call Sommer. Like how people say about Tyler Perry if you're about to move to Atlanta. Like, I want to be like that for a student.
What's one thing that stresses you out about your business and your day job?
About my business is funding. I want to secure more funding to keep it sustainable and make it grow larger. And my day job is something that stresses me out.
She ain't gonna say it. The people.
No, that job really doesn't stress me out. Like, I mean, obviously, I just want to perform well and continue to grow the audience and continue to connect in PR with a young and diverse crowd. And so just being able to create more ideas that allow me to do that.
I like it. So when it is at scale, because it will, Summertime Production, yeah, your business, it will scale. And it's going to be great. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be remarkable. What role do you see yourself having, like, in the production of, content? Do you still want to have your hands on as talent? Do you still want to have your hands on as a producer? What role do you see yourself filling there? Or will it be more operations and managerial at that point?
No, I feel like I'll have my hand in it. Like, it's funny as you're talking, like, I'm picturing, like, my 40-year-old self, like, watching this, like, wow, oh my God, I can't believe what I said was true. So I hope this is a manifestation. But I hope to still have my hand in things because that's the fun part. Like, I like content creating. I like creating things that can impact people. But I'm sure that by that point that there'll be a lot of people in that business, in my business, that I trust to manage things so I can have some downtime and go on vacation and do things like that.
So let's go on. We're going to go in a different direction now because we got to get into the mindset behind the brand. What's one lesson that you've learned in your life that, changed your life forever, really shaped who you are? The way I phrased it and before is, what is your canon event?
You know what it was? Because I am the cause of my own problems, I am also the solution to all my own problems.
That's deep. Tell them again.
Because I am the cause of my own problems, I am also the solution to my own problems.
And what does that mean?
That, to me, means freedom because obviously other people can, do things to you and inflict pain or whatever the emotion may be. But ultimately, I decide how I let that impact me and how I let that shape me moving forward. So I could choose to have a negative outlook and to let it to, rot me and make me bitter and upset, or I can choose to let it make me better and a beautiful lesson to continue to learn and grow. So I always try to choose the latter.
Do you believe that there's a lesson in everything? Everything. So outside of that and these principles, what governs you? I know you're a very spiritual person. What sort of shapes your beliefs?
My beliefs are shaped by my experience, but also shaped by what I know to be true, which is that I have ancestors who came before me who are guiding me. I have spirit guides who are guiding me. I'm deeply connected with the source of the universe, which some people refer to as God, who is within me, and is guiding me and is laying down my foundation before me and ordering my footsteps. And I honor that deeply.
And how did you come to, that belief?
I came to that belief because I have explored other religions. I grew up pretty Christian Catholic, I guess. And it never resonated with me because I always felt like there was something bigger that was there. I'm like, there's something missing from this religion. There's something missing. But I never really knew what it was until one day, like, I really just sat down and I thought, and I was like, where does the place of spirit guides and ancestors and this spiritual feeling I have in these religions live? It doesn't. I've never felt it. I've never seen it. I've never heard about it. Never read about it. I've read the Bible through, and I just didn't experience that. So I started connecting with, after I had that realization, I started connecting with more spiritual people who also had that realization and was able to teach me more about spirituality and help guide me along the path that I'm on.
I don't know if we had any more things to talk about spiritually. Could we talk about mental health and the importance of that? How important is it for, people in general, but Black people, to go to therapy, and what value has it brought to your life?
Oh my gosh. First of all, we are dealing with a lot of generational trauma that is not ours, that has been passed down to us because our community and culture has experienced a lot of trauma, and even to this day, we still are. So if you're not going to go to therapy for yourself, do it for your future children and your future generations, because we have to break it. We're in a very unfortunate cycle of tragedy and despair and loss and hurt. And we are not given the tools as human beings, as individuals, to learn how to manage that ourselves. And at the very least, talking about it, being able to talk to someone about it can be helpful. And I'm not saying the therapist is going to solve our generational trauma and racism and things like that, but we have to let these things out. They cannot sit inside and fester and continue to create more generational trauma.
That was really deep. I think that'll help somebody. It'll help a lot of people, I think. But I think I only got one more question for you, if you don't mind us transitioning that.
Yeah.
What is your biggest dream, and how do you get there?
Yeah, I think my biggest dream is to just leave an impactful legacy that my future generations will be able to eat off of financially, but also eat off of spiritually, and fulfill their souls. And at the least do it for my lineage, but if I can impact other people too, that would be very ideal, and make money doing it.
And how do you do that?
I think I'm on the route, communicating. I think I have to keep talking, keep putting myself out there, keep sharing, keep learning from people, keep learning, period. I'm going to Barnes & Noble when I leave here to get some books, so I can be more knowledgeable. And continue to share what I've learned and learn from other people.
That's dope. And it's all going to come true.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
I think so too.
Exactly. Well, Sommer, this has been Behind the Brand. So happy that you joined us here today. It was great learning about you, putting a spotlight on you, and getting behind the brand. For the folks at home, where can they find you at?
I'm on Instagram, Sommer FH. Sommer is spelled with an O, SOMMER FH. And I'm on TikTok, Sommer Hill 2. I'm on YouTube, Sommer Hill, and my show is called It's Summertime.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sommer. As always, this has been an episode of The Happy Day Show, bringing you education, entertainment, and everything in between. See y'all next week.